good. Now we coming with it. Now this looks like you Miami. Now we look like the class that runs it. Hands down, track and Jackie. ING. Very good. So this whole unit is about different types of phrases and sentences. So this is going to be the same. First, relative pronouns. And I try to make this as big as possible for the people in the back of the room. Relative pronouns. So a relative pronoun's job is to link two sentences together. A relative pronoun links two sentences together. I love how all of group 5 is getting those notes even in. We're going to make it 1 or 2 people from group 1. A relative pronoun is used to link two sentences together. It's used to link two sentences together. A relative pronoun links two sentences together. A relative pronoun links two sentences together. What does the relative pronoun do?
Links two sentences together.
It links two sentences together. So you do this in a way where you're describing something. That's what a pronoun does. It renames something before it. But we're doing it in a very particular way. You're going to start to see some trends in how this feels like some other kind of phrases you've learned before. I've got two sentences here. She has a dog. Her dog likes to play. If I were to try to put those two sentences together, the second sentence is pretty much describing the dog. So what I did is I replaced her dog, instead of saying she has a dog, she has a dog, she has a dog, we're replacing the dog with a pronoun. And the pronoun we chose here was who. So we're linking describing words from the second sentence if you're sharing the same kind of subject. She has a dog, her dog likes to play. Her dog is the subject of that next sentence. So I use who to replace it. Now what you have here are the most common relative pronouns. In just a second, I'm going to ask you to be the experts of one of these pronouns.
I get a question.
Sure. So what's your motion?
How can things and things be in two places?
Great question. I want to go through them one at a time, and as we do that, I should answer that question. Okay. So who is used to replace usually people or animals who are at the subject of a sentence. The subject of the next sentence that's being linked. So notice here, her dog is the subject of this sentence. Since her dog is the subject and it's a person or animal, I replace it with who. But I use whom when I'm replacing an object of the sentence, which means it comes after the verb. You'll normally know when to use whom because you have to or for in front of it. It'll generally say to whom or for whom. So, for example, I might want to put two sentences together, something like, she has a friend. She gives the friend a purse. She gives the purse to whom is how I would use it. Because in this sentence, I'm replacing the subject that comes after a verb, or a noun that comes after a verb. You will rarely use whom, but you always know when you have to or for in front of it. Certain question. Yeah, but we did in a different way. So these are also can be mistaken as interrogative pronouns when you have them in a question. Like, who did this? Why did they do it? Where did they do it? Who did, right? So those are interrogative pronouns. That's when they're used at the beginning of a question. But we're using these in a different context. We're using these to describe nouns. Great connection. Now you use which usually for things, but which can be used for people. But generally when you're trying to have a choice between one or another, is when you use which. So, the pearls which belong to my grandmother are white. So in here, I have like probably a choice of different pearls. I got pearls here, pearls here. And so I'm gonna pick just those particular ones, just when I have a choice. The pearls which belong to my grandmother are white.
It's not your leading thing. It's not your leading thing.
Yeah, so I hear you on that one. Let me think of a better sentence that will really fit. Choice. Let's see here.
There are leading toys. Which one do you
The two. I don't know exactly. Let me go in context here. So I want to think about if and it's usually going to be difficult because in context in the sentence I gave her, it sounds like it's a standalone set of pearls. But if in context, if it's part of a paragraph, you know that you're talking about different sets, then that's when you would use which.
Like, there are many toys, which one do you want?
Right, and in that case, you're using it like an interrogative pronouns. There are many toys which you might like to choose from.
How they say it.
So in that case, we're not using it in the question form, we're using it as a describing form.
Oh,
And it's used more as a relative clause. So same thing, different sentence. Once again, it just kind of depends on context.
So you wouldn't use
Yeah, so if there is no choice, then right, I'll go with that. So if in context there is no choice between them and I'm looking for things or people, I can use that. Now there is, what I heard Zach ask me earlier is when do I know when to use which or that because they both describe things. So which is going to be particularly when you have a choice. That there is a time when you'll use that or who, and one is better than the other. If you have a question, let me know. Like, if you have a question in the future, just let me start turning and talking like these are really good questions for processing. So make sure you're keeping it focused. Okay? Just know what I saw. And please take that ownership and the feedback and let's get back. Okay. Alright, so with that, there's a time where we use what's called restrictive or unrestrictive or times in a sentence where you know you have a necessary clause. We're going to get into that in our second part of our grammar lesson, or you'll know when to use which or that. We're going to get a little bit of practice today because some of them, one is the best choice, whereas the other one is the okay choice, and we're going to get some time to practice with that. So if you are already done in your groups with your notes, I'd like you to select one person in your group to go over to the bookshelf. There's like 3 little pieces of paper in a paper clip. I want to get that practice now so you can like this. It's a lot better in application. And I want to get a little bit of practice with this before we move on. I love how group 4 is waiting silently while one person went to go get it. I also am here in Trevelle and Chelsea. Like no part of the directions for the talk. Just leave them in the paperclip for now. I'm going to explain in just a second why some of them have writing on it. I'm going to explain in just a second what you're looking at. So right now, just leave them in the paperclip. It should just be 3. Question. Question on this.
which and that, the books are made, so would you,
I think there was exact same question, and it really depends on context. So they can be used interchangeably, just depending on the context of the sentence. So we want to get a little feel for that now with our practice. That's exactly why I wanted to kind of take a step back and go for it. So we'll start to see that difference as we see them within more sentences. Okay? So let's try it out. So what you have in front of you, we're going to do a little bit of practice on which, that, or who. So go ahead and take those papers out of the clip. You'll notice the one that says what, okay, was a bit of a typo, and the other group should have crossed it out and put that. They either replaced that T or they crossed it out. So your choices here are which, that, and who. These are the three that are most commonly confused within sentences. And so we're going to get some practice with when to use which one in context, and it should start to become a little bit more clear. So the directions are, I'm going to read the sentence. I'll give you time to talk within your group about which one you think will be the best response. All right, and then we'll find out if your answer was correct. Look at number one. People blank live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Which relative pronoun do you think would fit best? Talk within your group only. Take 30 seconds. Think about who you're renaming. Are you renaming people or are you renaming things?
Yeah, I had it right.
He like, how did you know? He like, how did you know?
All right, hold up your response in 3, 2, 1, and 0. Hold it up. Interesting. I see a couple of groups that say that, a couple of groups that say who. Interesting. Let's see who has the best answer. I do want to say that you both picked good answers, okay? So neither of your answers are wrong. Let's figure out who had the best answer and then who had just like the okay answer, okay? The best answer here, I kind of move it down a little bit, should be who?
Exactly.
This is the best answer.
I thought that was
All right. So, now, I'm not saying that that is wrong. That is also a correct response, okay? Now, who is specifically for people or animals? So you will you'll never use who for things. But if you have the choice between a who or a that, and you're replacing the subject of a sentence, then who will be your best answer. So the people are the subject of the sentence, and the who will be replacing those people. That's why who is the best answer. All right, so it takes a little practice. You have to see it in context, the way that it's used. It kind of depends on where you are in the sentence. Travell.
I didn't think who would like actually replace it. You said it's replacing.
Yeah, a pronoun is used to rename a noun before. Yeah, to rename, yeah. Exactly right. So it's not like I would cross out the word people. That was a good point. So I'm not crossing out the word people because then I would have what we call a dependent clause. And it wouldn't be a full sentence. Look at number 2. This takes us getting our sea legs under us. Walden Pond, blank was written in the mid-1800s, remains a popular book among romantic and individualistic Americans. Which will be the best relative pronoun? Talk it over.
Sandwich.
Keep your notebooks open like I see group 4 has their notebook open. It really helps to have this in front of you today.
she calling on me.
Get away.